Auburn fans, can we please put a stop to this? I completely get the frustration. A change was definitely needed, but I'm not sure that this was the best way to handle it. Today I want to take a look at the Auburn-Georgia State game. I just want to give you first my kind of initial thoughts on what I saw, and from there I just want to tell you kind of the good and the bad and what I'm thinking about Auburn for next week versus LSU in Death Valley. So first, I'm happy that we were able to pull out the win. Auburn was able to go on a 98-yard drive to really grab victory from the jaws of defeat, and that was great, and I'm glad TJ Finley got in there and was able to prove himself to the fans and to the team. But that is really not how I wanted to have to win against a team like Georgia State. It's a little embarrassing. I mean, once again, I'm glad we got it, but it's just a little embarrassing that we couldn't put this game away by like the second quarter. We shouldn't have a barn burner kind of game against Georgia State of all teams. And kind of like I mentioned in the intro, I completely get fans being frustrated. I was frustrated with Bo Nix, but at the same time, I don't know that the best way for us to handle this and show our frustration is by chanting for another player to come in. I don't know that it's a good idea for us to chant for a player to be benched. The coaches are going to do what they have to do to win, and they've shown us that, but I don't agree with it. And some of you, let me know your thoughts on I guess it was the student section or maybe somebody else. Let me know your thoughts on the fans in the stadium chanting against somebody on our team. I'd love to know what you think about that. So this was a really tough game to watch because you don't want to see a struggle win against Georgia State. However, I guess a struggle win is better than a loss. Here's why this was a tough game to watch for me. So first of all, obviously Bo Nix did not play as well as we hoped. He played a lot better versus Penn State. I mean, how are we going to play like that versus Penn State at Penn State during a whiteout game at night, and then at home we play Georgia State like this? Makes no sense to me. Another reason this was hard to watch is because our defense looked awful during the first half. I was expecting us to struggle a little bit, but I did not think our entire defense hinged on two people. And it was clear that Owen Pappoe and Zakoby McClain are the absolute just linchpins to this team. Without them, we crumble and fall apart. And that was evident because of the first half. As soon as Zakoby McClain came in, we got it together, and Georgia State didn't score another point. So I thought we were deeper at linebacker than this, and we are clearly not. So that's a little concerning. The other part that had me frustrated was the fact that we just got completely outplayed on both sides of the ball by a team that got demolished by Army and North Carolina. They had blowout losses to those teams, and I don't understand how the team that once again kept up with Penn State, how they just get outplayed and embarrassed by this team, Georgia State. Makes no sense to me. Ultimately, I think it's probably there were some bad coaching decisions just all over the place, but this was a very frustrating first half to watch. Okay, so now I want to talk about what went well from my point of view, and then also what the bad news is or what did not go as well. So first, let's talk about what went well. Special teams were actually pretty decent. We had that one blocked punt that was recovered by Barton Lester for a touchdown. That was awesome. Anders Carlson did pretty great, 4 out of 5 field goals, which got us 12 of our 34 points. So special teams were pretty on point for the most part. The fact that TJ Finley was able to come in a difficult situation with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter and really get the job done. I'm not going to, pump him up to be the most amazing player on the field or most amazing quarterback we've had. He still had his struggles, but the fact of the matter is he was able to do enough to get us the win, to lead the charge on that 98-yard drive for a touchdown that really that put us ahead so that we could win the game. So it was impressive that, one, the coaches did what they had to do to pull Bo Nix out, and two, that TJ rose to the occasion to get the win. The next thing that went well was Zakoby McClain. He's clearly one of the best players on Auburn's team. I think a lot of players look to offense for the most part when you're looking at the best players as far as MVP and that kind of stuff. But Zakoby McClain really was the difference maker in that entire game. We saw that in the difference between the first half and the second half. So that just tells us that going forward, we've got to have Zakoby. We've got to have Owen Pappoe. Otherwise, we're not going to get it done. And the final thing that went well, I think everybody for the most part will agree with this, and it was clear to the people who were in the stands that the TV showed. We got lucky on one of those calls. That throw to Shanker was very questionable. It looked like the ground helped him catch that ball a lot more than it should have. Did he catch it? Yes, but the ground definitely helped out. And when the replay was watched, it really went our way. So that went well for us, because if we didn't get that, I'm not sure what would have happened. I'm not sure if we would have been able to do enough to get the win or not. Maybe, but we'll never know. So that call going our way really helped us a lot, and that went well. Here's the bad news. So the fact we couldn't convert in the red zone was extremely concerning. It felt like we were going back to a previous coaching staff, to be honest, because we had multiple opportunities to score touchdowns and we couldn't convert. That is not what we should be doing at Auburn. If we get down to the 25, 23, however close we got, we should be turning that into a touchdown, and we could not do that during the first half. We were only able to score 12 points, all of which came on field goals. Building off of that, another piece of bad news is the fact that Auburn did not score a single offensive touchdown while Bo Nix was in the game. This was Georgia State. We should have been able to score a touchdown on offense with our 3-year starter, but we couldn't get it done. And that leads into my final point of frustration, piece of bad news, and that is the fact that we've been so dominant in the rushing game, and Georgia State shut us down. This stat is just embarrassing. Auburn had 166 rushing yards, and Georgia State had 267. That's just inexcusable, and the fact that that happened is it's something that needs to be corrected, because this team should not have shut down Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, and Shaun Shivers. So what are my final thoughts on this game that Auburn played versus Georgia State, and what does it mean for Auburn going into this game versus LSU at Death Valley? The first question, or really first thought, we clearly have a quarterback controversy, and the announcers said this over and over, and we have an issue of, we've got Bo Nix, who started a ton of games. He struggled on the road. And then we've got, he struggled versus Georgia State. And then we've got TJ Finley, who has not started nearly as many games, but he played for LSU, so there may be some knowledge there. And really, he did enough to win the game versus Georgia State yesterday, but that was at home. So how would he do at, in a hostile environment where we've not won since 1999? I'm not sure. But what I do know is that the coaches have a very, very difficult decision to make this week. Are you going to start Bo Nix, or will you start TJ Finley, who just won the game for you? If they go the route of experience, Bo Nix is going to be your starter. If they go the route of who just brought up the team morale and who brought up the morale of the fan base, you have to go with TJ Finley. My worry is that if they do not go with TJ Finley as the starter this time, I worry that they're going to lose the team and lose some of the fans in the morale category. It's, I do not envy the coaches. This is a tough decision, and I'm not sure what they're going to do, but it is definitely something they need to figure out as soon as possible. I think another thing that we've learned is that while Bo Nix has been staying in the pocket more, and that's great and all, one thing that is sorely missed from Bo Nix is his ability to run the ball. He, in previous seasons, had no problem scrambling, getting big rushing gain. Even if it was a designed run, he had no problem getting yards. And so far, I think he only has 59 yards this season. And so that's a little concerning because that is one of his strengths. And if we're not playing to that strength, why are we using him? What separates him from everybody else? Yes, he scrambled too much. Yes, he ran the ball too much. But at the same time, 59 yards through 4 games is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I think we do need to see him run the ball more. I just don't know what the answer is to get that balance between staying in the pocket and him scrambling and getting a big run. I think we've also learned that Anders Carlson is solid and dependable. Even though he missed that one field goal, he's still solid, he's still dependable, and I think he's going to get us through this season, and he's going to be the difference maker in some games. So I'm glad he came back for this season, and he will continue to be a star on the team and somebody we rely on to get points up on the board. And finally, what's obvious is that we've got to have Papo and McClain. Otherwise, our defense completely falls apart like a house of cards. So this week, the question on everybody's mind is going to be, how does Auburn beat LSU? What has to happen for Auburn to beat LSU? And there's a lot that can be said. I think what has to be figured out first is what are the coaches going to do about this quarterback situation? And I don't know what the answer is for that. I personally think you've got to start with Finley, at least at the beginning of the game. Give him a chance, and if he loses it, he loses it. And then that gives a chance for Bo Nix to come back in and redeem himself. I think that's important. However, if TJ Finley's killing it out there and he's doing a great job, leave him in. But I think you have to start TJ Finley. I'm just not sure if the coaches are going to be brave enough to start him in a hostile environment like Death Valley. The one difference, though, is that for Finley, it might feel a little like a home game because for him last year, that was his home stadium. That's all I've got this week. My one question I want to leave you with before I go is, what do you think the key is for Auburn to win against LSU and break the curse at Death Valley? Please let me know down in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.